Look at your hands. Look at them. These are not just hands. They are the architects of your destiny. They are the instruments of your will. And right now, they might feel empty. They might feel tired. They might feel like they have been holding on for far too long, with nothing to show for it. I want you to close your eyes for a moment. Just listen, and I want you to think of a single, seemingly impossible thing you want. A dream that feels so distant, it's almost a myth. Now a broken bar. I want to tell you a story. It's not about a famous CEO or a celebrity. It's about a man and a block of wood. In a small, dusty workshop, there stood a massive, gnarled, and twisted log of oak. It was old, scarred by weather and time, and to most, it was just firewood, useless. But to an old carpenter, a man with eyes that saw not what was, but what could be, it was a masterpiece waiting to be revealed. He would come to the workshop every single day, rain or shine, whether he felt inspired or utterly defeated. He would place his warm, leathery hands on their rough bark, and he would begin. The first day, he just picked up a saw. The sound was harsh, grating. It was just noise. He cut away the biggest, most obvious imperfections. It was pure, brute labor. His muscles ached. Sweat soaked his shirt. And at the end of the day, all he had was a pile of sawdust and a slightly smaller, still ugly block of wood. If you had walked in, you would have seen no progress. You would have seen only a man, tired, cutting wood. But he saw something else. He saw the first layer of the impossible being chipped away. The next day, he picked up a chisel and a mallet. Tap, tap, tap. The rhythm was slow, maddeningly slow. A tiny flake of wood would chip off, then another, then another. For hours, this was the only sound. A monotonous, patient percussion. There were no grand gestures, no dramatic revelations. Just the slow, persistent removal of everything that was not the sculpture. This is where most people quit. This is the silent, lonely plane of effort where dreams go to die. Because there is no applause here. There is no external validation. There is only you, your tool, and the relentless resistance of your goal. There were days his hands bled. There were days the wood fought back, and not so hard it would blunt his chisel. There were days he would sit on his stool, head in his hands, wondering if he was a fool, wondering if this stubborn, silent log would ever be anything more than what it was. The voice of doubt was a constant whisper, "You're wasting your time. This is too hard. It's impossible." But he would come back. The next day, he would come back. Why? What force pulls a person back to a task that offers no immediate reward, only the certainty of more struggle? It is the force of a vision. You see, the carpenter wasn't just looking at the wood. He was holding the finished sculpture in his mind. He could feel its smooth curves. He could see the light catching its grain. He could feel the awe it would inspire. The external world saw failure. He saw a future so real, so tangible, it was more present to him than the ache in his shoulders. He was not denying the reality of the struggle. He was trusting the reality of his vision more. Weeks turned into months. The mallet and chisel gave way to finer tools, files, then sandpaper. The work became more delicate, more nuanced. The shape was there now, emerging from its wooden prison. You could see the form of a great eagle, wings half spread, as if caught in the moment just before taking flight. But now came the most tedious part. Sanding. Hours upon hours, days upon days, of rubbing the wood with progressively finer grits of sandpaper. It was mind-numbing work. It made the earlier, brutal work seem almost exciting. This was a test of a different kind of strength. Not the strength to strike a blow, but the strength to be patient, the strength to endure monotony that separates the almost finished from the truly finished. This, my friend, is the final and most brutal test of effort. The last mile, the final 10%. This is where the shine is born, not from a dramatic act, but from 1,000 tiny, unseen, uncelebrated acts of dedication. And then, one day, he stopped. He put down his tools. He picked up a clean, soft cloth and a small can of oil. He poured the oil onto the cloth and began to wipe it onto the wood. And as he did, a miracle happened. The dull, dusty, matte surface of the wood began to drink the oil. And as it did, the true character of the oak was revealed. A deep, warm honey color emerged. The intricate patterns of the grain, each ring a story of a year in the life of the tree, swirled and danced in the light. They had been hidden there all along, buried under roughness and scars, waiting for the persistent effort to reveal them. The eagle was no longer a block of wood. It was a living, breathing piece of art. Its wings seemed to pulse with potential energy. Its eyes seemed to hold a fierce, focused light. It was breathtaking. It was impossible, made possible. The carpenter did not smile. He did not cheer. He simply placed his hand on the eagle's head, a quiet, final gesture. A single tear traced a path through the dust on his cheek. It was not a tear of joy. Not exactly. It was a tear of completion, of a conversation finished, a promise kept. He had not conquered the wood. He had collaborated with it. He had used effort, strength, and persistence not to force his will upon it, but to help it become the best version of itself. Now a broken bar, open your eyes, look at your hands again. Do you see them differently? Your dream, that impossible thing, a broken bar, it is that block of wood. And your broken bar, you are the carpenter. The struggle you are in, the daily grind that feels like it's getting you nowhere, that is you, with your saw, cutting away the big, obvious limitations. That is you, with your chisel, patiently chipping away at the habits and fears that hold you back. That is you, with your sandpaper, enduring the mind-numbing repetition that builds real, lasting skill. The days you feel like you're bleeding, those are the days you're encountering a hard knot. And every time you choose to work around it, to learn from it, to persist despite it, you are not failing. You are learning the unique grain of your own destiny. The voice that says it's impossible, that is just the resistance of the wood. It is not a truth, it is a test. It is the universe asking you, how badly do you want this? Are you a casual visitor? Or are you the carpenter? Strength is not about never feeling tired. It is about feeling the fatigue deep in your bones and choosing to pick up the tool one more time. Persistence is not about never failing. It is about failing, and then the next morning, tying your shoes, walking back into the workshop, and looking that unfinished dream in the eye once more. Hard work is the alchemy. It is the magical process that transforms the ethereal, your vision, your dreamer, into the physical, the real, the undeniable. You are not just building a career, or a body, or a relationship, or a piece of art. You are building yourself. With every single effort, you are carving away the person you were, to reveal the person you are meant to be. The masterpiece was always there, hidden inside the rough, gnarled log of your current circumstances. The scars, the knots, the twisted grain, they are not flaws to be hidden. They are what will make your final form so unique, so strong, so beautiful. The oil that brings out the final shine, that is your gratitude. That is the love you develop for the struggle itself. That is the moment you look back at the long, hard road and you thank every single splinter, every single aching muscle, for they were the very things that made you capable of holding this magnificent creation. So, I ask you again, a broken bar, what is your block of wood? And what will you do with it today? Will you see it as an impossible, ugly obstacle, or will you see it as a masterpiece, inviting you to collaborate? Pick up your tool. It doesn't matter what it is. A textbook, a resume, a paintbrush, a running shoe, a difficult conversation. Just pick it up. Make one cut, make one tap, make one stroke. Do not do it for the applause, for there is none in the workshop. Do not do it for the instant result, for it will not come. Do it for the carpenter you are becoming. Do it for the vision you hold sacred in your heart. The world outside is full of people looking at the raw, unworked logs of their lives, complaining that they are not beautiful. Be the one who gets blisters. Be the one who works in the dust and the quiet, because you now know the secret that the impatient world has forgotten. Nothing a broken bar is impossibly broken bar with effort. Your strength, your persistence, your hard work, a broken bar, they always pay off, not always in the way you expect, and never on your preferred timeline. But they pay off in the currency of character. They pay off in the form of an unshakable soul. Now go. Your masterpiece is waiting.